Hello, and welcome back to the Nostalgic Futurist podcast. And yes, it's actually a podcast today. Yay! I wanted to talk about my recent visit to downtown Disney and Universal Studios CityWalk right before Christmas. Now, of course, since there is a new stay-at-home order in California, well, it's not so new anymore. It's been about 3 weeks, and by the time I went, it had been about 2 weeks in effect. I had seen a lot of posts and YouTube videos saying that downtown Disney was a ghost town, that there was no one there because all the restaurants were closed. They weren't doing any takeout except for, kind of snack foods, and that therefore most people weren't going because you're not allowed to eat or drink anything, even if it's something you bring in at all in downtown Disney, because you're not allowed to remove your mask for any reason. So I decided to go test that theory out myself, since I had been planning to go to downtown Disney anyway. I decided that let's swing by CityWalk, let's go to downtown Disney and really see what's open, because I haven't really seen a comprehensive list even on Disney's website that really for sure gave me who's open and who's not. So we'll be covering that today, and we'll be looking at some photos and some videos of just how empty both places were. Oh, and we got butterbeer. So beginning with Universal Studios CityWalk, we chose to go there purely just to get butterbeer because Jude had not had butterbeer before, and I know it's more magical to drink it in the actual Wizarding World of Harry Potter, but I decided that drinking butterbeer after having over a year of no butterbeer was more important. And they're now selling it out on CityWalk, which I think is a good choice. I think the prices went up, though. I don't remember butterbeer being that expensive. It was $8 a cup no matter whether you got it regular, frozen, hot, ice cream, whatever. They also had Gilly water and a few of the actual candies that you can get in Honeydukes available as well. There was no pumpkin juice. This stand is located next to the big Universal store that's right by the entrance to the actual theme park. It's pretty small, and you have to look out for it. Just look for all the people sitting on benches drinking butterbeer and then having security guards walk up to them and telling them that they can't do that, because we saw that a lot. So we chose to get ours right before we left, took it back to the car so that we could drink it in peace and not be harassed by security. So we went through everything, and most things were closed. Even restaurants that could have done takeout, like Antojitos or the new NBC Sports place, they were all closed up. Bubba Gump's was open for takeout, as well as Buca de Beppo, but Starbucks was closed. Blaze Pizza was open. It's Sugar was open. Most of the stores were open. The takeout donut place was open, but the popcorn place was closed. So it was kind of a gamble, whereas in Disney, it was a little bit more of like, if they sell snacks, they were open. But in Universal CityWalk, it was kind of a gamble. But we went on a Monday, so there might be more things open on the weekend. I would check in with Universal Studios website and other vloggers and stuff to see what they saw on the weekends, but it was fairly closed up on a Monday. We went into the Universal Studios big store, and they had all their merchandise in there, and they had a lot of really nice Harry Potter stuff. I have to say that the theming of the Harry Potter part of that store is on point. You feel like you're in the park. And they had some merchandise I had not seen before. They had some of the candy from Honeydukes. I don't know if they normally have that, but it is available. So if you are missing the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, like as much as I am, you can grab some Bertie Bott's Every Flavor beans or, peppermint toads or whatever you want from there. They just don't have the ones that would normally appear in the case in Honeydukes. Voodoo Donuts was also open, so we went and got some of those. Not quite as awesome as actually going to it in Portland, but it was kind of nice. There was absolutely no one in there, and we got some donuts and, again, got them right when we were going to leave and took it back to the car. After that, we drove around LA for a little while, not really getting out much of anywhere, but then we went down to downtown Disney, and yeah, there was almost no one there. It was so weird because when downtown Disney opened Buena Vista Street, I was so scared that I wasn't going to be able to get in because it was going to be so busy. And then when the stay-at-home order came out, I was so scared that Buena Vista Street wasn't going to be open at all. And so I guess I got the best of both worlds. There was no wait to get in. It was a walk-on, no fast pass required. And Buena Vista Street is still open. And honestly, the restaurants that were open on Buena Vista Street weren't my favorites anyway, so it wasn't the biggest loss on that front. But I will say that because they were closed, they didn't have as much of Buena Vista Street and the surrounding areas of the theme park open just to walk around in as they did when the food was open. It was a little depressing too because we had a reservation at Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, which is probably my favorite restaurant in the world, and of course had to cancel it because there's no indoor or outdoor dining at all in Southern California. So we headed in and we immediately stopped by this little kiosk where they normally sell pins right by the monorail station, but they had it like expanded where they had mini ears and bubble blowers and other stuff like to make the little shop bigger. There was a bit like a tiny line to get into it because they're only letting so many people into the little roped off area to promote social distancing. I picked up a very cool Millennium Falcon gingerbread looking pin, which was exciting. The Lego store across the way was open. It looked like Sugar Boo was also open. Both Starbucks locations were closed due to the fact that most people are going to get Starbucks and immediately drink it, no matter what the rules. So anything that you were going to take away from Disney that was food or beverage oriented was now wrapped in some type of wrapping to promote you to not eat it right away. Things that were open along this main corridor included the Jazz Kitchen Express, which I found a surprise because I had heard it was not going to reopen, and it did. And all they've got to sell really are beignets and stuff like that. And when you get your beignets, they put a sticker on it to make sure the bag stays closed. Same thing with any other treats bought in the area. I was kind of stalking this family who were at Crazy Shake because I was interested to see how they make Crazy Shakes to go. I mean, they've always had the Crazy Shakes to go, so I know they can do it, but I just really wanted to see one of those milkshakes like in a to-go container because I thought it'd be really funny. But it took them like 30 minutes and they still hadn't gotten their shake, and I was like, I'm not gonna hang around watching these people much longer. We then headed over to the home store. And we had a little bit of a wait there because they let like 6 people in there at a time. Like there was almost no one in there. And so the line had to wait a while because people were making large purchases of Christmas gifts and stuff. The only place that really had the longest line in the world was the new Star Wars trading post that took over the Wonderground gallery. People were lined up to get in there, and they had a cast member going around with a cart showing people like the new lightsabers like Ahsoka Tano's and anything else that was new. I think they might have something to do with Mandalorian as well besides Ahsoka. I didn't really get close to it. We weren't fussed about going into the Star Wars store just because it does feel a little haphazard. It feels a little bit like they kind of threw that thing together at the last second in the hopes of selling all this merchandise that they swore to everybody would never be sold anywhere except Galaxy's Edge. And doesn't that kind of take away some of the mystique? Like, I get it. They want to sell the Star Wars merch, but I kind of still liked the mystique that you could only get those things in Galaxy's Edge. And they've also broken that rule now with Avengers Campus. They're already selling the spider bots and some of the t-shirts and other small gifts, stuff from Avengers Campus already, and it's not even open. I'm like, I get it. You guys want to sell it, but you are taking away some of the mystique that might have made more people buy it when the land opened. Just some thoughts. Continuing down the road of what was actually open, Sprinkles was open for taking away cupcakes. Again, they're going to give it to you in a bag or a box with a sticker to promote you to not eat it while you are still in downtown Disney. Jamba Juice was open. Wetzel's Pretzels was open. Things that were closed in the area were Naples and their like to-go kind of Napolini area. La Brea Cafe was closed. Of course, Tortilla Joe's, Jazz Kitchen, Splitsville, Uva Bar, Catal, all those things were closed. Most of the stores were open, including the things like Curl Surf and other places like that. The Sunglass Hut place was open. Again, the big Starbucks by World of Disney was closed. World of Disney had no line for most of the time we were there. We went back at the end of the night, like after we'd gone to every retail location to check out everything. And then we were like, okay, if we're going to buy anything, we'll get it at World of Disney because it's all there. And when we went back, there was a bit of a line, but of course, World of Disney's line moves like crazy. You're barely standing in the same place long enough because that store is so big and so many people are going in and out and in and out. So the line wasn't horrible. Now let's talk about a moment of very depressing sadness. I find it every time that I go down to Disney and I go to the Esplanade and I go stand in front of Disneyland, it is such a hard image to look at. You know, I've gone down to the Esplanade and stood in front of Disneyland many, many times when I've been in town and I don't have an annual pass that's open for that day, or I'm not going in, or I don't have a ticket at all. And I just stand in front of the gates and I'm like, oh, look at all those happy people going in and out of Disneyland, having a great time. There's the hustle and the bustle and the sounds of people, you know, happily chatting about their experience on Rise of the Resistance, or, you know, the little kid crying because mom didn't want to buy him the Little Mermaid bubble blower or whatever. But when you lose all that cacophony of the train coming into station, the monorail over your head, all of those things, you know, I honestly am getting to a point where I don't even feel like Disneyland was a real place. I feel like when I watch videos of Disney World right now, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that thing called Disney World, but there's never been a Disneyland. That's some place that's like in a movie, you know, like Saving Mr. Banks or something. Like, it's not an actual place you can go. And, you know, you stand out there and it just reminds me over and over, like, we have no clue whatsoever when Disneyland can open again. Because even if everybody gets vaccinated and we get the herd immunity, are we going to be allowed to go into Disneyland, or are we going to have to wait longer because the government of California wants to decide when it is the safest for people to return to theme parks, concerts, entertainment, live theater, etc.? And being someone who works in live entertainment and loves Disneyland, it's very hard because my career probably won't even restart until Disneyland reopens. And if I had to say my best guess right now, and, you know, we'll see if I'm right or wrong or whatever, but if I had to say my best guess, like right this second, I think that Disney will probably reopen in Anaheim in September, October. That's my guess. Okay, enough of the depressing Disneyland is not open. Let's head over to Buena Vista Street. The first time in 2020 since March that I got to walk inside a Disney theme park. It was pretty magical. It was awesome to be back in there. It felt weird. Like, it felt like I was like, am I trespassing? Should I not be here? It was so magical to walk in at night with all the neon lit up. And as you can see, there are almost no people at all. There was a little bit of a line to get into Trolley Treats off and on that evening, as well as getting into the Los Feliz 5 and Dime as well. But on the whole, everything was pretty empty, and if you did have to wait in line, it wasn't super long or strenuous like it normally is in a Disney park. It was honestly just a little weird, though. When you walked around like the main circle, you couldn't go any further down towards Grizzly Peak than the edge of the Fiddler Fifer Cafe, and you couldn't go any further down the main, show corridor into the main part of DCA past, where they have the map of, with the wait times and everything. You couldn't go past there. Hollywood, though, was wide open all the way back. You could go all the way back towards Monsters, Inc. You could go all the way into the area where Mickey's PhilharMagic, all that big plot of nothing. Big area with nothing to do. They have a little store set up outside now, outside of Stage 17 on the inside of the park, so that you can pick up merchandise and then express checkout through the back of Stage 17. It was a little confusing over there. I will say their signage for Stage 17 is Very confusing. So we headed over to Gone Hollywood because it just had opened a few days before. And, I have to say that, Disney has a lot of repetitive merchandise because think about it. If you're in a theme park and you were riding Thunder Mountain and you walked into one of the Frontierland stores and you're like, I love that coral pink Spirit jersey and ears. I really, really want to get those, but I don't want to carry them around all day. So then you go everywhere all day and you're like, I don't want to walk all the way back to Frontierland. I'm in the back of Tomorrowland and I just want to go home. Well, thankfully for you, there is a store within like 100 feet of you at all times that has almost every piece of merchandise. So you can get your coral Spirit jersey and ears to go on Main Street, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, wherever you happen to be. But that's fine when you have entertainment to go watch and, restaurants to go eat at and rides to ride. But when all you can do is go shopping and every store has the same merchandise, it's so boring. You're like, I've seen that same Christmas Spirit jersey 8 times. 8 times. I will say, the home store, of course, has a few, a little bit more of just, the home goods. And the dress shop in Downtown Disney has just the dresses. But also there are parts of, Elias & Co. that have the Disney dress shop dresses. And so it was very repetitive. And I had never really cared before until all of a sudden that was the only shopping or only experience at all that I could have in a Disney park. I will say one of the interesting things that both me and Jude experienced while having only shopping to do in a Disney park was how many things that we had never taken the time to stop and actually look at. Like looking at detail that the Imagineers put into the buildings. I mean, as you can see right now on your screen, the shop Gone Hollywood, that is a magical top half of that room, but you're so focused on the clothes below that you don't look up to see wow, this kind of looks like the inside of a Regal movie theater. Another thing we noticed was above Trolley Treats there's this engraving in the stone of bears with beehives, and I was like, that is really cute, that's adorable. And I would have never noticed. I've never spent that much time in my life on Buena Vista Street itself. And I guess we were so starved for Disney detail that we noticed everything. I mean, I had never realized even the names of the stores on Buena Vista Street at all. I had never looked at them because I would just walk into them of what does it matter what it's called, So I mean, there were positives that came out of an experience where you are seeing repetitive merchandise, but, gives you a chance to look at all the things you didn't look at before. It was nice of them to put the red trolley back out on Hollywood Boulevard. It's decorated for Christmas. You could take photos in front of it on pretty much all 4 sides if you felt like it, as you can see me demonstrating right now. But let's now really focus on the big players in Buena Vista Street. Starting with Trolley Treats. I was rather disappointed by Trolley Treats. We walked in there and the cases had all the food pre-packaged, right? It was already in cellophane or bags or whatever. And they just didn't have as much as I had seen at Marceline's a few months prior. And I was like, they can't just have this. There's gotta be more treats than this, because it was very bare bones. And, it felt like they were really just pushing people through it to just get your treats and go, get your treats and go. And so I honestly was going to buy treats, and I walked into Trolley Treats and I was like, let's go look at Marceline's because this is kind of sad. It was a kind of disappointing display. The rest of the stores that are connected to Trolley Treats are open as well. They had a lot of Christmas ornaments, which was fun. You can still get a lot of the pre-packaged candy as well that is made by, Disney cast members. I will say that side of the street doesn't have quite as much stuff as the Los Feliz 5 and Dime through Elias & Co. We headed over to that side, and we didn't have a line at all to get into that one. We had a little bit of a line into Trolley Treats. And so you enter Trolley Treats at Trolley Treats. So you enter in the middle of Buena Vista Street, and then it shoots you back out towards the gate. And then to go to the other stores, you enter at Los Feliz 5 and Dime, and it shoots you through back to Elias & Co., which shoots you back into the center of the park. Probably the most exciting thing that we saw while shopping was the new 2021 merch. I mean, not only are we all really glad to be rid of 2020 and hope that 2021 is a better year, but I thought that they did a really good job with the new merchandise. It's block colors of primary blue, red, and yellow, and it's got pictures of the castle and Mickey's like kind of outline of his face and everything. It's really cute. I don't normally go for the year merchandise because why would you? Like, no year has been that important to me to have it on a t-shirt or a pair of mini ears, but man, I really considered getting those Mickey ears because they were really, really cute. After we sat on a bench for a little while in Buena Vista Street, we decided to go check out Stage 17 since that opened about a week or two after the last time I'd gone to Downtown Disney in September. And their signage is really bad back there. They had a cast member at the very front when you walked in. It's located near, like right next to the entrances to get into the security on the Harbor Boulevard side of Downtown Disney, right by where the, Toy Story trams pick up. And we walked in, and the signs all pointed us to this door that was closed and locked. And so then we all started wandering around, and there were several cast members who were like just looking at us weird, but didn't say anything about where we should go. We eventually figured out that the other doors were open, even though that sign said cast members only. It's a little confusing. The actual store itself is very, very strange. It has all the same stuff as all the other stores, so there was nothing really exciting in there. And you're like in this big room that has stage lighting, and there's a lot of more people and there's a lot more crowding, so it wasn't my favorite shopping experience ever. And because I'm always here for a quick tip, I will say that the restrooms located near the entrance of Stage 17, these are the restrooms right off to the left outside the gate of DCA. There was no one in them, so if you were looking for a little bit of a private bathroom experience, highly suggest these bathrooms over the ones in the park or the main ones in Downtown Disney located near Wetzel's Pretzels. We then headed over to World of Disney to go do our final shopping now that we had looked at the same items 1,000 times. The store was really magical, decorated for Christmas, and honestly, seeing the inside of World of Disney now feels more like you're in the Grand Californian than anything else on Buena Vista Street. So that was really exciting to get to walk through and see all the Christmas decorations and see all the merchandise all in one place. I got a pair of those new kind of like light sky blue mini ears, which was the first pair of mini ears I've ever purchased in my life. And I have nowhere to wear them now. Very, very exciting. On our way out, we decided to hit up Marceline's Confectionery to see if they truly had better treats than trolley treats, and they did not disappoint. Their cases were like a normal Disney case. Nothing was prepackaged. They had more stuff. They definitely had a lot more selections, so we went ahead and picked up one of those Rice Krispie treats that looks like Mickey, covered in M&Ms. Never had one of those before. It was delicious, but it also drops a lot of M&Ms, just a warning. And I also got my classic favorite for Christmas, and kind of my favorite all the time, is one of those marshmallow wands. But at this time of the year, it's always covered in crushed peppermint, and got one for my mom, and it was absolutely wonderful to eat. And per usual of this day, we grabbed what we actually wanted to eat right before we left. We went to go get some beignets from the Jazz Kitchen Express. I will warn you, this process was a little tedious. They will not let you get in line until you have mobile ordered. They have this QR code sitting right outside the restaurant. So, prepare yourself to order, and it's kind of a lengthy process of putting in your name and your credit card info and everything ahead of time before you can even get in line. So plan ahead for that, because this was also a very long line, and it was one of the only actual long lines we stood in all day. It moves rather quickly. They are very good about getting the orders out. I will say, though, that the beignets looked a little smaller than they normally do. We got a large, which is, I think that's a large. There's like 6 of them. And it was like not very many, it was 6, but it was like not as big as I've normally seen them. So that was a little depressing. But we took them back to my car. And because I didn't want powdered sugar all over my car, we sat on my open trunk and ate them over the asphalt of the parking lot. Nobody said anything about it. We weren't near any other people, so, use at your own discretion. And that marked the end of our actually rather fun trip to Universal Studios CityWalk and downtown Disney / Buena Vista Street. We actually had a really good time. It was super relaxing. We didn't have the pressure of, we got to go get on this ride, and we got to go get a fast pass, and we got to go eat here, and we got to go blah, blah, blah. There is something to be said about kind of getting the permission to relax and just enjoy the atmosphere and the holiday music playing over the speakers and the decorations. And, it wasn't super, super cold, which was nice, but it was chilly enough that you were like, I can wear my Spirit jersey and not be hot. And I don't really have any plans to go back to downtown Disney unless something drastically changes in the next few months, which I'm not foreseeing, because I don't know how much of it will change. And that's my concern, is that now that the stay-at-home order is in place, and even if the food reopens, is downtown Disney now, because no one's shopping for holiday gifts, is it now going to just be kind of empty all the time because most people aren't going to have a reason to go there until the food reopens? And then when the food reopens, are people only there like in the evenings? I mean, I have no incentive really to go back for a while. It is kind of hard on my heart to go and not be able to go into Disneyland and, smell the bromine water and hear the distant roars and screams of Matterhorn. Really looking forward to that day. I will probably be a weeping mess the day that Disneyland reopens. So, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Nostalgic Futurist podcast, and I will talk to you again soon.